Hello, welcome to another video on the Scouring Early Access. Today's match is going to be a 4 versus 4 match with me, the Birth Gamer, my allies, Aldicio, Fresh Meat, and Ali Bell. And the enemy team is going to be Dinchy Code, Old Fart, Tudos, and Part Timer. And here I spawn as the Cyan Orc player. I'm pretty much going to be doing the Archer build order. But I did kind of screw it up. When I was walking around with my workers. It's only now making a logging camp. Over here, my next ally, Black Human, Aldicio. Looks like he might be doing an Archer build order. Or maybe making a few swordsmen in the beginning. Over here, the yellow human, Ali Bell. Looks like he's doing a swordsman build order, with of course following sawmill. And now, white ally, Fresh Meat, playing as orcs. Looks like he's also doing a warrior build order, or maybe making a few warriors, and then probably following up with archer production because of these many workers making a logging camp here. Over here, the enemies, blue human, Dinchy Code. Looks like probably doing a similar thing to white, making a few swordsmen, and then probably starting out with more archer production. And then the next player, Old Fart, playing as red orcs. Looks like he's also doing a similar thing to blue. Few warriors and then archer production. And over here, purple, Tudos, playing as humans. Looks like he's doing a swordsman build. But he does have a lot of workers on wood, so he might be making archers, or maybe taking up to some kind of better technology. Over here, the final enemy player, Part Timer, playing as orange humans. Looks like he's going for swordsmen and a group of archers, which is a little interesting. Enemies are doing a similar strat. A lot of warriors with, I guess, following archer production. But here I decided to just make auto archers, because it'll be a little more useful later in the game, I guess. So everyone's clearing some neutrals, killing some goblins. Of course, killing some wolves. But here you can see the first enemy contact, attacking the white player. He's probably not expecting to be attacked. But eventually, blue runs away, as the yellow scares him away with his troops. And on the bottom here, you can see orange is trying to attack my ally, black. So I do try to send some reinforcements to help him out. And over here I just decided to maybe try to attack the orange player. Maybe try to kill his archers here on top, but instead I just feed 2 archers, maybe 3. And then that's pretty much it. That was a waste of units. But I guess you find out the hard way. Well, of course, on top here, Mr. White is getting attacked by red and blue. And of course, after being already attacked, kind of has not that many units left to defend against 1v2. And I guess yellow arrives a little too late. Oh, of course here. Red even destroyed farm. Which can be very economically painful. Very annoying to deal with. He's gonna need a whole lot more wood to keep making more farms. Over here the goblins start spawning everywhere. Now sending reinforcements here to help white, but of course could also help yellow with his goblins as well. So the goblins begin spawning. Somewhat, I guess, making everyone be a little more defensive, because you have to be back at your base to try and defend yourself. And here, of course, I get attacked by a wave. And then this worker almost leads his fat troll into here. So I had to bait him back before he would destroy all my workers. But I eventually cleaned this up, maybe lose 2 workers or 3. But it was that big a deal. Yes, making a forge, maybe make a few cannons, which could be useful too. Defend my black ally out a bit. In the middle here, I was killing these trolls here, just to get some extra gold. And my army was kind of on top here anyways, so I might as well do something here. But looking back, I could have actually just went on top to clear the corner bases here for my 2 allies, so they would, I guess, make expansions a little faster. But I guess you only find out at the end of the game, or in retrospect, I guess. But here you can see blue and red already starting their expansions, so they're going to be having on of economy over time. Here you can even see Mr. Blue is making dwarves, which can be somewhat useful, but if they're not supported with our units, they're somewhat difficult to use. Of course here, clearing the corner myself, my ally, but I was also making a base here, because I thought I would use this base a little more efficiently. On the bottom, orange started a base, and I guess purple will probably start a base here eventually as well. See, orange is only in tier 1. I guess purple had a fast tier 2. Red's going to flying head production, or devourers, which can be very annoying to deal with. So everyone's doing their own little, I guess, builds. Blue's more dwarf heavy, red's more flying head heavy. I guess purple's more newer to the game, so it's just doing a basic army. And orange, I guess, going for a lot of archers. It's making a pretty late smithy, so it's mostly just archer army. Now here in black, there's a few cannons, a good amount of archers. Still in one base, making my 3rd base. On top here, the enemies decide to attack. But I did leave my army on top here to try and slow down their attack. And so eventually we do push these humans away, which can give me some time for my allies to keep staying alive. Anyways, here I have a big army of archers. I'm already making it tier 3. We're at minute 10. So I did relatively get a tier 3 real fast without making munchers or that many cannons. Round 3. And here, Mr. Yellow. It's a group of archers. And that's mostly it. But my 2 allies are making their bases here as well. And black is also making a base, so everyone has at least one expansion, but it's gonna be up to them too. Pop out all the workers, I guess. On the bottom we can see orange and purple thinking of attacking. And it's mostly black here defending himself. And most of my army was kind of in the north, so I couldn't really help him much, but just have a lot of cannons. Because I did kind of go heavy into making bases. And to try and get a tier 3, then another citadel. So I could probably get a few warlocks later on. Here you can see enemies are trying to break in. But these few cannons are somewhat slowing them down. But it does look like they're going to be eventually breaking through here. But I guess I did try to send some munchers, try and help out. But this was a bit of a mistake, because there's too little amount of munchers here, so I just threw them away. In the meantime, I could have used my reinforcements to have a bigger pack of munchers. So here we mostly cleaned up purple. Archers of orange are going to be here still, being annoying. In the meantime, red was being extremely annoying with his heads. And blue was kind of just being annoying with artillery. So on the bottom we can see black pretty much lost a good amount of workers, but he did save a few here. And finally I had a good amount of munchers to try and go and take care of these swordsmen. But of course, in the meantime, I was taking care of this, while red and blue were still attacking, so it was a little difficult trying to use my archers here. I'm gonna try to not die in my allies' base here. But yeah, somehow we eventually do clean up the rest of their armies. And I guess I do decide to feed a cannon. Or I guess maybe not. Here, of course, I tried to focus here. So I guess maybe try and push away the flying heads. But of course, as we can see here, archers can be somewhat ineffective against them. But that looks like the enemy's not really rushing in here. So we are still somewhat alive. But with every increasing amount of heads, with the red player joining his pack of heads, it was harder and harder to do anything. Just like he's doing here. Flying around the map. And there's pretty much not much you can do. Maybe make a few cannons. But of course, you need to invest a whole lot of cannon infrastructure and guard towers to even defend against this. Or just have a lot of archers, but you can't really be everywhere with your archers. So that was a little unfortunate. Here blue starts attacking, and red still keeps annoying. Over here I was fighting orange and purple. Somehow, somewhat winning, I guess, because I just had a big amount of munchers. So I eventually do clean up a good amount of units here, but I am forced to run back to try and take care of my goblins here. Finally, I have 2 citadels, getting a death cloud, and I'm just making a lot of munchers and warlocks at this rate. And of course, with rage, can be a little easier to defend. You can see how crippling the annoying devourer spam can be, or why he can't really do anything. Can't even mine gold, which is a little unfortunate for him. See blue's attacking here. In the meantime, goblins were trying to annoy orange. We even munch away a farm. And I guess after seeing the 2 combined armies of red and blue, I kind of realized I can't really do anything here. So might as well just try and hold in a yellow's base now. But I did try to send some warlocks, because I did finally get the death cloud. Which means I can poison the heads and then someone take care of them that way. I guess over here, enemies even get to farm a few of these goblins here that spawn to probably attack the white player's base. And over here I decide to try to attack this army, which could be, I guess, useful by giving me some time after I kill this army to focus on the bottom part of the map. So here we go. It's basically a 1v2 with my big army fighting blue and red. But red kind of left his ally to die here, so that was a little funny. So blue does lose his whole army, and I lose a few munchers. But here red will eventually take care of the white player. He's going to be eliminated, and it's extremely annoying to even fight against heads. And so that's why I brought some warlocks here to try and scare them away, or to try and even kill a few of them. While in the meantime, my black ally was being overrun on this side by 2 people. And here I didn't really have much of a muncher army. So somewhat the best I could do was just send groups of skeletons, try and slow them down while I was waiting for my army of munchers to arrive. And here I guess I was somewhat waiting for them to move in a bit deeper into his base so I could surround him with my munchers, but I guess we didn't really feel like doing that. And so I do decide to eventually run in here and take care of their army, but of course at the same time the red and blue were annoying me here. So that's why I was a little slow to attack here, because I was somewhat controlling my units on top. And I guess over here, it looks like enemies weren't really doing much. But I guess my ally decides to surrender. They're seeing my army go in the north to try and deal with these two enemies. But I guess very frustrating for me. I didn't really know where to be. So I did send my Muncher army to take care of blue. That way yellow could still be alive. And I could somewhat have some time before I'd be able to go through his base and into my bases. And black could have still technically stayed alive here. But even here you can see somewhat struggling with my reinforcing munchers to take care of the orange player's army. And I guess here I decided to send my big muncher army to try and attack blue. But this was a bit of a mistake, because I started starving because of orange being very annoying with his cavaliers. Really good at my food workers. And so I was a little too slow to get my food back online. And so here I do decide to retreat next to blue's base. But of course not before throwing a few munchers. Here I'm somewhat alive. I have a good amount of warlocks, a group of munchers. And on top I mostly have a small group of archers and a relatively big group of munchers. Here you can see Mr. Red. He got tired of annoying a white player, so he decides to try and attack me. But of course, maybe he doesn't realize that warlocks are very effective killing groups of heads, because they can poison them and then live steal them away. So he just fed his whole army. I didn't even lose any units here, so it was a bit of a mistake on his part. You can see here, orange is preparing a big army here to try and, I guess, have some kind of choke point here. Here I was getting a substantial force of munchers, trying to see if I could maybe attack into here and take care of their army. And so I was trying to bait them in to the left here with my smaller force. And then I would just go behind them, my big army of munchers. But of course, as I was baiting them in here, blue was of course attacking the yellow player, and I was a little too busy in the south to try and help yellow at this time. But my trap did work. I managed to flank the orange player, basically make a sandwich out of his units. So this was a very efficient trade of units. Saw way more stuff than me. And I guess they're gonna lose this base as well. But of course I had to somewhat try and run to the north, try and save yellow the best I could. But I guess I was a little too slow. And so yellow is gonna lose his castle here. Which I guess a little unfortunate. But I guess I was a little too busy trying my munchers here. And so only now I get to attack this dwarf army. And of course with this perfect combo of munchers and warlocks can make quick work out of most armies in the game. The warlocks can have auto meat shield skeletons they can send to siege an enemy or distract them. And then you can send in your munchers to surround them and keep them in place, I guess. You can see Stalin became quiet and the enemy is not attacking because I did kind of take care of their armies somewhat well. Here I finally started using my resources because I was a little busy microing. So finally I get to macro, making a few more barracks, getting another lumber mill, because I kind of was low on wood. Over here, Yellow's still alive. Just being, I guess, a bit of a nuisance for the enemies. It's being alive and being hurdle that they have to go over him before attacking me, I guess. Here the goblins begin spawning, like they do. But here I do send my reinforcements to help out my ally. Oh, in the meantime, the purple player maybe got 2 or 3 waves at the same time into his main base. Probably because he had a dark spot in his base, and so it's exactly where the goblins ought to spawn. Or over here, sort of darkness. And so that's probably what happened. That's why you do want to somewhat keep your base lit or have auto vision, so you can make sure that the goblins spawn in the front of your base instead of in the back, like in this dark spot, which is what the enemies are doing here, keeping the back of their bases mostly lit, except for this little path on over here. After sitting in my base for a while, I decided to attack into orange, but here I do realize that blue is over here somehow, even though his main base is on the other side of a map. So I do decide to retreat. And here I pretty much have a group of warlocks, a group of munchers, and then the same thing here, a group of munchers and a group of warlocks to try and defend myself. But here the enemies were pretty annoying. So here I just send my munchers to try and attack blue. Try to send my warlocks back to take care of these annoying heads, while of course also trying to fight orange and blue here. So super annoying as hell trying to fight here. Here I decided that it'd be better to kill these 2 bases in the back, so that would give me some gold. And here I was poisoning the enemies while fighting them. But of course this is my weak group of munchers, lower levels. But eventually I do get my 2 warlock groups together to try and take care of their huge army. So orange does lose most of his stuff. Blue tries to destroy my buildings, but of course I didn't notice that orange went in the back here, try and kill my food economy, or to just destroy my farms as well. You can see here, blue is somewhat close to destroy my buildings, but he wasn't fast enough, so his dwarves do have to wait to the 5 steel. Of course, I was all busy care of this annoying orange, the rest of this army. Not only now I realize I had munchers here, So I did lose a good amount of them to the flying heads of red. And then of course I do lose pretty much every last one of them here as well. And at this point, I don't really have that many workers left. And I was a little, I guess, overwhelmed with what to do. So I guess first thing I was trying to do is pump out all the workers, try and get these farms back on the line, so I wouldn't be starving. But of course I could have repaired these buildings. But I guess Orange was a little annoying here. Try to catch him. And in the meantime, while Orange was distracting me here, Red was being a menace in the north. I guess over here I try to send my warlocks to the top to deal with Red. And I just decided to ignore Orange, because there's a bigger threat on top here. And of course, Red destroys my Monster Cave, so now I'm gonna have to eventually rebuild it if I want to make more Munchers. And here, I kinda couldn't really attack, because you can see my food was very low, so I destroyed more than half of all my farms. And Orange was annoying me here, so my Munchers would be too slow and too vulnerable to try and attack the north here. But I guess I should have tried actually to defend the yellow here, but thought that my starving Munchers would be dying too fast. And so I just decided to let yellow die here, and to just try and hold on two sides, from the north here, and from the south against the orange. So eventually yellow is going to die. And because of these forests here, it's kind of extremely difficult to even catch these flying heads here. So here I tried to maybe annoy the orange player, but he was kind of retreating and more wasting my time. And over here, red joins my base again, try and destroy my farms, I guess, or other buildings. And here I realize I can't make any more munchers, so I am forced to make a muncher cave. And here you can see red is flying outside of a map. There's, I guess, a bit of a bug. I'm not really sure. That can be very disgusting to deal with, because you can't really deal with units that go outside of a map. And so this was just pissing me off, I guess. Just killing my farms, being a menace. So red's here, orange, and then blue's attacking from the north. And red is outside of a map. What I do eventually, probably eat maybe half of his army. So that was somewhat alright. And here blue is trying to destroy my base in the north, while I have to deal with orange and purple here. So I divided my army into a group of munchers, a group of warlocks, like I did many times, to a group of munchers and warlocks to deal with blue here. But of course, it can be a little difficult fighting one side and on the second side of a map at the exact same time. So I do eventually lose some buildings here. But somehow I do eventually take care of all of the enemy armies. And funny enough, is that goblins begin spawning. And I guess enemies maybe forgot or didn't realize that it's going to be nighttime soon. Man, if they don't have an army at home, then they're going to be dying pretty helplessly. So pretty much here, the orange player is going to be dying. His workers alone can't really deal with night 3 or night 4, I'm not sure. And even blues. I guess probably having fun with red and his own wave. And here, I kind of took care of my waves relatively easy. Because I did have huge armies of munchers and warlocks. So I could somewhat effectively take care of any goblin issues. But here you can see red actually sent his warlocks here to try and fight me, but I guess in retrospect he could have used those warlocks at home to poison the munchers, I mean the goblins here, so they could defend themselves a little easier. But of course, if you don't have your warlocks or even a proper army, then the goblins will eventually munch you away. In the meantime, I didn't even realize that this was happening. And I thought there was going to be even more waves of enemies coming to kill me. I kind of had no more mining bases, so I was trying to make a base to the middle of the map. Which is why I was saying, come you cowards. Because I thought there was like way more armies, and I don't know, they thought they had a whole map by now, so I was expecting to be attacked, but my enemies were instead being munched away by the hordes of goblins. So over here, blue eventually does somewhat stabilize and kill most of his goblins, but he does lose all of his production. And he doesn't have much of a base left, I guess. And over here, I realized purple got eliminated, which could only mean that the goblins munched him away. And so only now I begin going to the middle to try and take care of any bases here. And here you can see the goblins are having a field day. They're eating to their heart, to their heart's desire. And so eventually red is going to be eliminated, but first blue does surrender because he knows he doesn't really have much left to fight with. So red gets defeated here, and then orange kind of has not much left. Just town hall here and a barracks, and of course a very hungry group of munchers, mountain trolls, waiting for him. So eventually the last player decides to surrender instead of waiting for the goblins to destroy his final building. Or I guess he does get defeated, actually. Here I find his goblins, these goblins, but it's a little too late. The goblins took the victory for me, I guess. There you have it. See the results. You can see here, black and white were both my allies in the front lines. So they are harassed non-stop the whole game. That's why they couldn't really expand or mine that much gold. I did somewhat save yellow for quite some time, so he did help me out somewhat by just being annoying and taking forever to die, I guess. Here you can see the enemies had all the economy, made all the units, but I guess they somehow threw away their armies to my, I guess, little combo, or whatever you call it, army structure of a group of munchers and a group of supporting warlocks. That, of course, can just spawn a huge wave of skeletons, which work very well all together. Anyways, if you liked the video, you can leave a like, leave a comment. If you want to see more videos on the Scouring Early Access, then you can subscribe. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.